Good morning, everyone. I, Syed Owais, Faculty Department of Life Science. Today I am going to deliver my lecture. My topic is aquatic biome. As we all know, this earth is occupied by so many water bodies, and in these water bodies many living organisms, whether they are plants or animals, live. Aquatic biome is characterized by the maritime. It is characterized by the maritime, which means it is dominated by living organisms, whether they are plants and animals, and is dominated by the climate. As I already said, it makes up the largest part of the biosphere. There are mainly two types of aquatic biomes, mainly freshwater biome and marine water biome, and there is highly diversification of organisms living in these water bodies. Major determinants of aquatic system: the amount of dissolved material is present. How much is the amount of dissolved material present in the water, whether that is fresh water, whether that is marine water. The depth of water: there are so many water bodies, whether they are rivers, whether they are lakes, they are ponds, oceans, their depth vary, and due to the varying depth, the light penetrates or not. It depends on the depth of the water. The availability and quality of light. The availability and quality of life. As I already said, the availability and quality of light, how much the light penetrates through these water bodies. The nature of the bottom substrate. The nature of the bottom substrate means the substrate of these water bodies, how much they contain the minerals, how much they contain the mineral content, soil content, and other contents, water temperature and circulating system. How much is the temperature of the water and circulatory system? That means there occurs evaporation and precipitation and something. There are three main ecological groups: plankton, organisms which are incapable of swimming from current system to another current system. Actually, these organisms have not the capability of swimming. They have not the capacity of swimming from one system to another. They are actually the floating organisms. There are two major categories of planktons. Number first is phytoplankton. As the name indicates, phytoplankton, phyto means plant and plankton, that means plant plankton. These organisms have not the capability of swimming from one current system to another current system. Number two is zooplankton. Zoo means animal plankton. They also have not the capability of swimming from current system to another current system. They are also floating organisms. Number two, nectons, stronger swimming species that are capable of swimming between current systems. They have the high capability of swimming. They have the high capacity of swimming from one current system to another current system. For example, fishes, squids, and whales. They have the high capability of swimming between current systems. These squids are the invertebrates having boneless fish. Number third, benthos. Benthos are the attached organisms or resting on bottom. These are the attached organisms or resting on bottom, mostly filter feeders. For example, seaweeds. Seaweeds actually are commonly known as a group of marine organisms living in the oceans, rivers, and lakes. Barnacles, it is a type of arthropod. Its age varies between species, whether they have less lifespan or more lifespan. There are two major distinct categories of freshwater ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem is that in which the water bodies have less concentration of salts. That means they have less than 1% concentration of salts. The organisms which are living in fresh water, only those organisms can live here which needs less than 1% of salts. Number one, lotic system. Lotic system means running water. It includes streams and rivers. Lentic system means standing water or calm water. It includes lakes and ponds. Streams and rivers. Lotic system, these are the bodies of water flowing only in one direction. These are the bodies of water which flows only in one direction. It has high oxygen levels because the flowing water always has high level of oxygen. Different zones in lotic system. There are different zones in lotic system. Number one is littoral zone. Littoral zone means shoreline, shallow water region in which the light penetrates up to the bottom. When the light penetrates up to the bottom of the shore, that means there are the aquatic plants, and in the aquatic plants the light penetrates through the roots. That means here the photosynthesis occurs. Number two is limentic system. Limentic system means open water. That means to depth of effective light penetration. That means to depth of effective light penetration. It is freestanding water. Actually, it includes ponds. That means the aquatic organisms that live in it, they photosynthesis occurs and the light penetrates through to the bottom. Number third, profunda. Beyond and deep water area, beyond effective light penetration. Here the light does not penetrate to the bottom of the whether they are oceans, but it is absent in ponds. Ponds lack profundal critical water velocity is 50 centimeter per second. Critical water velocity actually means the water, the flow and direction of water from smooth to turbulent is known as critical velocity of water, या critical velocity of liquid. Lotic systems are detritus based. That means it depends on the remains of the living organisms or any decaying matter that is present in the water. Ponds and lakes. These ranges in size from a few square kilometers to thousands of square kilometers, and there are diversity of organisms present in it, whether they are lakes, whether they are ponds, and they are often isolated from each other. Classification of lakes. Eutrophic lakes. Number first, eutrophic lakes. These lakes are well nourished lakes. They are fed with high concentration of phosphorus and nitrogen, and they have the very poor visibility, and the light is not clear here, and here the shallows are present. That means muddy shallow is present. That means the aquatic muddy shallow is present. That means the photosynthesis occurs and the aquatic organisms are present here. Oligotrophic lakes. A poorly nourished lake, here the production is always unproductive. That means here the lakes are not fed with phosphorus or nitrogen, and the production is less. They are often deep. Mesotrophic lake with moderate supply. These lakes are fed with moderate supply of nutrients, whether they are phosphorus, whether they are nitrogen, and the production is intermediate. And these are lakes that fall between extreme of nutrient enrichment. Wetlands or areas of standing water that support aquatic plants. That means these areas are areas of standing water that support aquatic plants, whether they are swamps, whether they are muddy areas, and many species of amphibians, reptiles, birds can be found in the wetlands. Marine ecosystem. As we all know that 70% of the earth is occupied by the marine water bodies. In the marine water bodies there are oceans, there are coral reefs, there are estuaries. The largest of the all ecosystems are marine ecosystems. It has high concentration of salts. As in case of freshwater ecosystem, there is only less than 1% of salts present. Oceans are always large bodies of water that dominates the earth's surface. Oceans also contain the richest diversity of species, but not more than the species that are found on the land. It also possesses the highest diversity of species, whether that are plants, whether that are animals, but that they are not more than the species that are found on the land. Zones. There are 4 types of zones present in the oceans. Number first is the intertidal zone, is a zone where the ocean meets the land. Sometimes it is submerged with the oceans and sometimes it is exposed with the ocean. That means in the oceans there occurs waves, there occurs tides, and sometimes these waves and tides comes in, and sometimes these waves comes out. So that is why it gets sometimes submerged and other times exposed. Number 2, pelagic zone. It includes, as in the figure it shows, it includes those waters, that means it includes those waters further from the land. Basically it is the open ocean. This zone is farther from the land, and it is not so farther from the land but is farther from the land. Basically it is the open ocean. Number 3 is the benthic zone. Is the area below the benthic zone is the area below the pelagic zone, but it is not the deepest part of the zone. It is the zone that is present below the pelagic zone, but it is not the deepest part of the zone. Okay. Abyssal zone, it is the deepest part of the zone. As in the figure, it is the deepest part of the zone. Here the temperature of water is very, very low. That means here the temperature is cold. It is around 3 degrees Celsius. Here the pressure of the water is high, and high in oxygen concentration, and nutrients are also present in low concentration. Here the nutrients are also present in very low concentration. Okay. Coral reefs. Coral reefs are present in the oceans. Coral reefs are present in the oceans. Actually, these coral reefs are characterized by the accumulation of the skeletons of lime secreting organisms. These are coral reefs are also called tropical rainforest of the ocean, because there is diversification of organisms present in the oceans, and there are several medicines are obtained from these coral reefs, which are used to treat various diseases like arthritis, like various heart disease, and there are so many other diseases. Several medicines are obtained from these coral reefs, which are benefited by human beings. They can be found as barriers along continents. As we all know, there are so many continents, 7 continents, and these coral reefs act as barriers between these continents. And there, as I already said, there is highly diversification in species. Here is highly diversification of species present in the oceans. So this diversification of species in oceans. Types of coral reefs. Number first is fringing reefs. That means these coral reefs are close to the shore. These coral reefs are present close to the shore, and they are separated by low waters. That means these fringing reefs, there are 2 types of fringing reefs. Reef slope. In the reef slope, it moves in the ocean direction, and reef flat, That means the reefs are closest to the shore. That means these reefs are closest to shore, and in the reef slope, the reefs in the are in the direction of the oceans. Barrier reefs, reefs that are at least 10 kilometers away from the oceans are called barrier reefs. Atolls. Atoll, a circular coral area that is far away from a circular coral island that is far away from the land are called atolls. Atolls are actually formed when coral develop on a volcanic island that has sunk below the water. As we all know, there are present islands in the oceans, so these coral reefs are developed in the oceans. Estuaries. Estuaries are areas where freshwater streams, whether they are rivers or lakes, merge with the ocean. There are so many species of organisms which are present in estuaries, whether they are algae, whether they are microflorae, whether they are seaweeds, whether they are mangrove, and so many species of animals, whether they are fishes, whether they are whales. So they can be found here. In this region, freshwater streams or rivers, they merge with the ocean. Okay. Estuaries are supported by diversity of fauna, whether they are worms, whether they are oysters, whether they are crabs, and whether they are so many other species of animals. So there is the diversification of plants and animals which are present in these estuaries. Okay.